You're probably killing your engine right now without even knowing it. 13 small habits, 3 of them you've already done this week, are slowly grinding metal from the inside. In this video, I'll show you what those habits are, how they destroy your car, and the simple fixes that will save thousands. And trust me, the last one will surprise you the most. I've spent years building, testing, and autopsying engines that should have lasted longer. The patterns are consistent, tiny, repeatable behaviors that load bearings wrong, starve hotspots of oil, and trap heat where it can't escape. This is a calm, first-person field report on what really hurts an engine and what I personally do instead. Think of it as a maintenance mindset: temperature, lubrication, combustion, and contamination. Every habit below injures one of those pillars, often slowly enough that you miss the early warnings. Use my checklist as a companion on your next drive and maintenance day. Habit 1. Hammering a cold engine. Cold oil is thick, slow, and trapped in boundary lubrication before full hydrodynamic film forms. Hard throttle or high RPM in the first minutes means metal touches metal at bearings, cam lobes, and turbo bushings. What I do: start, let idle stabilize for 10 to 15 seconds, then drive gently under light load. I don't wait in place for full warm-up. Gentle motion spreads heat evenly and builds oil temp faster with less fuel dilution. I keep RPM modest until oil is warm, which is later than the coolant gauge suggests. Habit 2. Living on short trips. 5-minute hops never evaporate water and raw fuel that slip past cold rings, so acids form and total base number gets eaten. You'll see mayonnaise under the filler cap and rising oil level from dilution. What I do: schedule one proper heat cycle weekly, 20 to 30 minutes with varied load after full warm-up. That boils off condensate, stabilizes trims, and lets the PCV purge the crankcase. I also shorten oil intervals for city-only cars. Habit 3. Lugging. High load at low RPM. Flooring it at 1,300 to 1,800 RPM spikes cylinder pressure before the oil film is robust and invites knock or LSBI in small turbo DI engines. Bearings see crushing loads while the valve train chatters unhappily. My rule: downshift before demanding torque, keep the engine in its efficient band, and apply throttle progressively. It feels smoother, is often faster, and lives kinder on bearings and rods. Automatic or manual, same principle, different buttons. Habit 4. Bouncing the rev limiter. A limiter is a safety net, not a target, and fuel or spark cuts hammer the valve train with unstable combustion and torsional shocks. Valve float once can mark stems, kiss pistons, and start a costly countdown. I shift before the wall and use my ears and touch as guides, not dares. On track days, I raise mechanical sympathy, not lap times, when oil temps creep or misfires hint at valve control limits. An engine you save today is pace you keep all season. Habit 5. Money shifts and harsh downshifts. Forcing a lower gear that overspeeds the engine can bend valves, stretch rods, and spin bearings in one ugly moment. Even automatic kickdowns in a high RPM with cold oil bruise journals. I match revs on every downshift and let the gearbox settle before I load it. In autos, I roll into throttle rather than stabbing, so the TCU picks a sane gear. Precision here costs seconds and saves thousands. Habit 6. Shutting a hot turbo down immediately. After a hard pull, oil cokes in the center housing if you key off and trap heat, starving the bearing on the next start. Heat-soaked coolant can flash and create localized boiling. My fix: a minute of light load or easy cruising before shutdown, especially after highway ramps or mountain climbs. Water-cooled CHRAs help, but physics still wins. If you tow or track, add an oil with high oxidation stability and mind intervals. Habit 7. Long idling to warm up. Extended idle runs rich, washes cylinder walls, and loads the oil with raw fuel and water that never fully burns off. Meanwhile, hot spots in the exhaust bay catalysts without useful airflow. Better: start, stabilize, drive gently. Heat the engine with work, not with waiting. Cabin comfort arrives sooner, oil warms properly, and contamination stays lower. Your neighbors will appreciate the silence, too. Habit 8. Ignoring air filtration and intake leaks. A torn filter or leaky boot lets abrasive dust score the cylinders and confuses MEF readings, pushing mixtures lean under load. That is quiet, permanent wear. I inspect the airbox every oil change, swap filters on time, and replace cracked hoses and clamps. I also check for proper sealing after DIY jobs. Misaligned covers leak more than you think. Clean air is cheap horsepower and cheap longevity. Habit 9. Using the wrong oil spec or stretching intervals blindly. Viscosity alone isn't a spec. Modern engines need the right approvals for shear, detergency, LSBI, and timing chain wear. One more 1,000 miles turns into varnish, chain stretch, and noisy lifters. I follow the tougher of two numbers: the severe service schedule or my own data from used oil analysis when available. Short trips, heat, dust, towing, and DI soot all justify shorter intervals. Oil is cheaper than metal. Habit 10. Topping off the tank after the nozzle clicks. Overfilling saturates the charcoal canister, sends liquid fuel where vapor should go, and can drive rich conditions that wash rings. It also shortens the life of EVAP components. I stop at the first click and leave expansion volume for heat. If I ever smell raw fuel afterward, I inspect the purge valve and canister before the next trip. Your nose is a great early warning sensor. Habit 11. Regularly running near empty. A hot in-tank pump relies on fuel as coolant, and low levels can expose the pickup on hard turns or hills, causing lean spikes. Lean under load is a silent engine killer. My minimum is a quarter tank for daily use and half a tank for long climbs or towing. It keeps the pump cool and mixture stable when you need torque. Stability is longevity. Habit 12. Using lower than recommended octane or poor quality fuel. NOx sensors are guardians, not magicians. Constant retarding kills efficiency and raises exhaust temps. In small turbo DI engines, low octane and certain additives can trigger LSBI at low RPM, high load. I buy fuel from high turnover stations and follow the octane printed in the filler door or manual. If the engine is knock limited in hot weather, I step up one grade and watch trims and knock counts. The goal isn't premium pride, it's stable combustion. Habit 13. Neglecting the cooling system and heat management. Old coolant, weak caps, trapped air, and grimy radiators raise hotspots that oil can't rescue, especially around exhaust valve bridges. Heat kills gaskets, cooks sensors, and hardens seals. My routine: pressure test caps, burp air after coolant work, wash the radiator fins gently from the engine side out, and replace coolant on schedule. After mountain grades or towing, I idle briefly with fans moving air before shutoff. Heat you manage today is failure you never meet. Closing thoughts. Engines don't usually die from a single dramatic mistake. They fade from patterns that felt harmless in the moment. If you change those patterns, how you warm, load, fuel, lubricate, and cool, you extend the life of everything bolted to the block. Here's the checklist I keep in my glove box. Warm gently, avoid lugging, shift smart, cool the turbo, don't idle long, keep air clean, match oil to spec and duty, stop at the first fuel click, keep at least a quarter tank, feed proper octane, and maintain cooling. If you adopt just half of these, you'll notice quieter starts, steadier idle, cleaner oil, and fewer mystery noises. Mechanical sympathy isn't slow, it's sustainable speed. If this resonated with your own habits, start with the easiest fix on your very next trip. Momentum matters. One good pattern learned beats a dozen tips ignored. Your engine will tell you it's happier, quietly, the way healthy machines always do.